Yo, how's it going, Justin?
It's going well. We had a big direct today.
Yeah, June 2023 Nintendo Direct, the probably, last major one of the year. Maybe we'll see something in September like we sometimes do, but feels like, this was the last big Switch, Direct for a while.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, let's jump right into it. Before we get into the direct itself, though, we've been texting back and forth for almost a week now about whether or not there's going to be a direct at all, and I
Yep.
was like assured no direct. Maybe we get a Pikmin thing, but there is not going to be a big direct this summer. Boy, was I wrong!
You
But you
were,
called
yeah,
it. You knew. You
Yeah,
knew.
you got stumped, but yeah, I mean, we had to get something, right? I mean, we had to see something. Pikmin 4 is the only thing that they really had on the docket for the rest of the year. They weren't going to let Sony and Xbox and the Summer Game Fest go by without bringing something to the table. So thankfully, we got one, and initial impressions I think were it was pretty good. My personal opinion, it was a solid, safe Nintendo Direct with a couple surprises. What about you? Thoughts? Just general, what'd you think?
Well, coming from not expecting to have one at all, I thought it was a really great direct. A little bit of something for everybody in that direct, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Yeah.
A couple platformers, some RPGs, some really interesting remakes. I think,
Yeah.
like they dug pretty deep for some of those. So yeah, just a little something for everybody. A very well-rounded direct. But as I
Yeah.
was watching it, we were texting back and forth. It felt very chaotic. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was going from one thing to another thing, back to another thing. And it didn't seem like it had a I don't know, like a cohesive flow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was interesting, especially when you think about some of the organization of some of the major announcements. With the final announcement being what it was, it's kind of weird that we got that same series towards the beginning of the direct, and then there was just a couple of weird sizzle reels of different indie games and upcoming uh, you know third party products that didn't seem to have a lot of cohesion like we've seen in some prior directs. We've seen,
Yeah.
here's the RPG block. You got, all these RPG games. Here it was just kind of like, here's a rhythm game followed by a sim game, followed by an RPG, followed by a platformer. And it was like kind of tonal whiplash a little bit. But that said, they went straight in with a trailer for the Pokemon Scarlet Violet DLC, and it kind of just hit the ground running. I like that. Good economical use of time. 40 minutes. They got a lot of stuff in that
Yeah.
40 minutes. But yeah, it was a little hard to keep track and remember everything that we saw because it was just a little bit chaotic.
Yeah, one of the benefits of it was I didn't feel like that same just like droning on that I sometimes get with the Nintendo
Mm-hmm.
Direct,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you get like a ton of RPGs in a row or a ton of farming sims like we had, I think, at the most recent one. I didn't get that same feeling today. It really felt like there are a lot of different things going on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about just like some of the quick hitters. I've got a quick list here, and let me know if I miss anything. So you mentioned the Pokemon DLC, Sonic Superstars, that new
Yeah.
2D Sonic game, Persona 5 Tactica, Detective Pikachu's making a comeback
Yeah.
here. A big one, Super Mario RPG, the remake, Princess Peach game, Luigi's Mansion, Dark Moon remake, the Arkham games, the trilogy's coming,
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
new Dragon Quest Monsters, Pikmin 4 plus 1 and 2
Yeah.
remastered. So we'll have all of the Pikmins on the Switch. That's really cool. The Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really excited about that one. Star Ocean, the Second Story R. Then there's a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC. We knew that was coming, but it
Yep.
was good to see some of that stuff. And then wrapping things up with Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Did I miss
Yep.
anything?
I mean, some
Anything important?
little indies here and there. There was a fun little, indie platformer by the team behind Sonic Mania that I thought looked pretty cool. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was the one with the yo-yo. That was
Oh
looked pretty
yeah,
fun. But other than that, yeah, it was. I mean, a lot, like you said, a lot of stuff, a wide variety of stuff. Some stuff that we already knew, was coming out. Some ports that we were expecting would hit the Switch at some point. say Vampire Survivors making its way to the
Oh,
Switch is a
right.
big one for me. It looks like it may be getting co-op, which I think is pretty sick. If you've never played that game, great opportunity for people that have never played that
And
to
that was
check it
one
out.
of those that, like, why wasn't it on the Switch this
Hmm.
entire time, you know?
Yeah. So other than that, I mean, yeah, I think you nailed most of it. I mean, let's go through some of that because there's, like you said, a little bit for everybody, and I think we maybe have slightly different, um, excitement over some of the announcements. I think one that we probably share, however, was rumored in the days leading up to this direct a remake of Super Mario RPG. This is not just a visual update. It looks like it's playing it safe, but it's a pretty significant overhaul, at least
Yeah.
graphically, and it looks like mechanically it's pretty tight. But I saw some stuff in the UI that leads me to believe that there's maybe some new battle mechanics and stuff like that that could be making an appearance. What was your initial impression on seeing this trailer?
I couldn't believe it. When they led into it with the like the old game, that old intro with Princess Peach and the
Hmm.
music, I was like, okay, they're gonna port this over to the Super Nintendo Switch. I don't think it's there already, is it?
I think it recently made it. It made it pretty recently, I believe. I could be wrong on that,
Or maybe
actually.
maybe it's already there. But I was just thinking, oh, okay, well, they're gonna port it to the Super Nintendo on the Switch
Hmm.
Online. That's what it's gonna be. And then it cut to black, and then we get the fully rendered out Peach in the same position.
Yeah.
I don't know if the music changed or not. I can't remember, but I was in shock, man, because like I had seen this past couple of days. There was
Yeah.
a rumor about this, a rumor about Chrono Trigger, and I
Hmm.
was like,
Hmm.
no way, this is like a Nintendo Direct wish list thing. This is crazy. Square and Nintendo are not going to work that closely together
Yeah.
to bring this out. Plus, I thought Nintendo has already moved on with the Mario and Luigi series,
Hmm.
taking
Hmm.
on some of those RPG things. So I was shocked to see it. It makes me wonder if like maybe this is the first of some more Super Mario RPG games that they want to make, and maybe they don't want to go back and do more of the Mario and Luigi games. I don't know. Those are my first impressions. What about you?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'm excited. It looks like Square is involved in this remake. The original composer Yoko Shimomura, who's a very famous Square Enix composer. She did the Kingdom Hearts series. She's done some of the Mana games. A big, very impressive composer is back for the music in Super Mario RPG. She did the original. She's doing the remastered soundtrack as well. So that was really cool. It looks really nice. I'm really happy to see Mallow and Gino getting a little bit of love in this new remake.
Yep.
As far as I can tell, I mean, this is a day one for me. It's one of my favorite games of all time. So to have it come back and be, updated, probably with some nice quality of life changes, but from the looks of things, a big win for me.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, day one for me too. I've been actually replaying it on the Super Nintendo Mini because it
Yeah,
was included there, and it was kind
right.
of I mean, it was an interesting choice to put there, but I was surprised that Square and Nintendo could work together to put it there. But I'm really excited to go back to it and like actually have a playthrough. This is a day one purchase for me
Yeah.
too. Hey, let's talk really quick about the Pokemon DLC. Are you into that?
I probably will check them out this time. I really enjoyed Scarlet Violet. We talked a lot about that last year, towards the end of the year. A flawed game, but a really good game that I had a great time with. These DLCs look fun. They look like the inclusion of two complete new zones with all the new Pokemon that were shown off during that. Um, Excite me. Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I know we've talked a lot in the past about going back to DLC so many months later. It's all
Yeah.
going to depend on when they release and what's coming out around them. With such a stacked year
Oh my
ahead,
god.
it's possible I miss them. They're on my radar though. They're on my, if there's a lull, if I've got some time, I'm definitely going to dive back in because I've been looking for an excuse to go back to Scarlet and Violet. I'm hoping these DLCs come with some quality of life changes to the performance
Yeah.
of the base game, but yeah, I'm mildly anticipatory of that, but it depends on what's going on. Otherwise, are you planning to? I mean,
I don't know. I'm in the same boat, I think. I'm interested if there's a lull, but
yeah.
I'm so disappointed that the base game never got that performance patch that
Hmm.
I thought we were going to get. And I never finished Violet. I've
Yeah.
like put it back in my Switch case the past few weeks just to try to get back to it, but every time I even think about putting it in, I'm like, nah, no, no.
I mean,
It's been too long.
if you see enough of it, you kind of get the gist. I feel like that's kind of the case with a lot of Pokemon games. There's not a huge, drive to go back. I mean, yes, there's some great late game stuff and post game stuff in every Pokemon game these most recent generations, but I don't see a need to go back to it, especially with the performance being what it is. So hopefully this comes with some nice performance upgrades, and it's an excuse to dive back in. But looking at the calendar, not just Nintendo, but outside of that, I mean, this is a year of heavy hitters. So DLC is not going to be a priority. Thinking about before we move on, right? Because we were talking Super Mario RPG. Two more announcements came alongside that, right? You already touched on one, which is the Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon.
Yep.
Great, cool, fantastic game for the 3DS. Let's get it, upscaled and put on the Switch. Great, I'll play that. I'll love it. It's going to be fantastic. But we got a really small tease of a Princess Peach game. No idea what it's going to be. Probably looking like it's not going to be a platformer. Maybe it will, but it looks like it's going to be something different. But she's getting her own starring game. They put it in a pretty prime position during the Direct, so clearly they're excited about it. Any thoughts on that? Are you interested in seeing what they're going to do there?
Yeah, I'm really interested in this. I think it's going to be great, just from a representation standpoint. With the Mario movie, there are a lot of kids who are suddenly back into Mario.
Yeah,
I think this makes a lot of sense for. I mean, the girls have some representation, have a Peach game. Peach deserves her own game.
Yeah.
I am curious to see what they're going to do. I mean, the little preview was like a side-scrolling thing.
It had some side-scrolling elements to it. It was like a stage performance that she was involved in. There were some costume changes, which may be her power-up, preview. Yeah. I'm not sure.
So, just a quick point on some of the female characters from Mario. So we had the Peach game, and we're also getting Daisy in Mario Brothers Wonder.
Huge. People have wanted Daisy in a game for a very long time, a non-sports game for an incredibly long time. To see her coming up in Wonder, fantastic. Very excited about that. Dibs on her for any multiplayer, going forward.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk Wonder. Let's just get to it. We can come back and circle back to other stuff that we're excited about. But I mean, I think talking about Mario now, let's just finish that conversation, which is there's a new 2D side-scrolling Mario game, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
The graphics are sharp, the gameplay looks slick, the reinvention of some powers and new gameplay elements, as there always are, appear to be really cool. There's some sort of dimension-changing mechanic, it looks like, where you grab a certain power-up, it changes the map, and all of the environment starts acting funky and doing different things. We saw warp pipes turning into worms. We saw Mario stretching out like a long cat at one point. The end level flags running away or disappearing or getting knocked off, and the stage is continuing past the end point. Looks like they're doing some real fun, creative stuff with this, and a 4-player multiplayer experience, much like one of my favorite Mario games, if not my favorite Mario game, which is New Super Mario Bros. U, and all those New Super Mario Bros. Games. I absolutely adore that series, and Wonder looks like like the logical next step.
Yeah,
it's like the Galaxy treatment for New Super Mario Bros. U, as far as I'm concerned. So to me, this is a hugely anticipated game. I'm really glad that we're not getting another 3D one right now, because I love Odyssey. But to me, 2D Mario is my favorite. Right, I've always preferred the 2D games to the 3D Mario games, and so seeing Wonder was really cool for me.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it too. I thought that they were going to go like the 3D World route, that the, like sort of 2D, but it's like 3D, but it's got a lot of 2D elements. I thought that was the future for like a 2D Mario game, or just more like Wii U, more Wii U games. I'm sorry, Super Mario Brothers. What do they call that game?
You mean New Super Mario Bros. U?
Yes,
the one they gave for the Wii U.
Yeah.
But that was a side scroller. I mean,
Yeah, but I thought we were going to get more of that, which is like different levels. But the art
Hmm.
style wouldn't change. It would just be like something that Nintendo puts out every few years to
Yeah.
cash in. But the animations for this new one for Wonder look amazing. Did you notice like when Mario got the power up mushroom and he grew big, his hat
Hmm.
like flew off a little bit, and you
Yeah.
could just see the space between his hat and his head. I love all of those little details.
Yeah.
The animations were really fluid. I'm super looking forward to this one, and
Yeah.
it's surprising to me that they were able to make something and stick it at the end as like the next big thing that's a 2D Mario game.
Yeah.
After the Super Mario Maker 2, what everybody said was, why do they need to make any more 2D games? They're
Hmm.
giving us the tools to make our own. And I was really bought into that for a while. Some of the stuff I've seen on Mario Maker 2 are just like these unbelievable levels,
Yeah.
right? Somehow they've figured out a way to make me really excited about it again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm, on, I'm highly looking forward to, the next gameplay reveal when we get a deeper dive and we get to see kind of what these new mechanics actually are in practice. Because again, it looks like there's going to be some fun new collectibles, some new object interactions. Like you said, the animations alone, they've put a ton of work into some
Yeah.
really interesting, like, interactions between the characters and the environments. There's a scene where Daisy, for example, is pushing a warp pipe back against, with an enemy, and you get the animations of her face, trying to push the warp pipe and getting thrown back and stuff is pretty cool. We see a level where it's 4 Yoshis running around the level, so I'm wondering if they're going to be doing some interesting mechanics with the multiplayer in different stages, having different sort of themes and ideas. All in all, we also saw some new power ups that we've never seen before. Elephant Mario being probably the one that's going to get memed the most
Yep.
over the next couple of weeks. But to me, this seems like, I always really liked Super Mario Brothers 2, right? The Doki Doki Panic reskin. I think it's going to be really cool. This game seems to be like, hey, what if we make a modern, Mario that does something new and funky with the series that kind of shakes
Yeah.
up the traditional? Because it doesn't look like we're getting all of the traditional power ups. We're getting some of them, but like a lot of the stuff felt like a little, just like slightly off from what we're used to seeing in a way that was really exciting for me, and I think is going to make for a really cool experience.
Yeah, totally agree. While we're talking about 2D, Sonic Superstars, we saw a little bit of it. I think in
Mhm.
the Xbox. Was it the Xbox or was it?
I think it was Xbox Showcase. I don't believe it
I think
was
it
Summer
was
Game Fest. I
too.
think it was Xbox Showcase. Yeah,
I think so
if I
too.
recall correctly.
Are you into this? I'm not the hugest Sonic fan on the planet, but I'm interested to see what they're doing with it, to see if they can reinvent it in sort of the same ways that we're talking about Super Mario Wonder looks like it might.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't
I
know. What
mean,
do you think?
Sonic Mania is fantastic. And while unfortunately this game apparently was originally going to be by the Sonic Mania team, they had a falling out, and so it pivoted and changed hands. It does look like a really nice, solid Sonic game. Again, 4-player multiplayer, which is always cool. I like the character sprites that we've seen. The worlds look good. I've heard from early impressions that it plays well. They're doing some fun stuff with the Chaos Emeralds, giving Mario like powers to Sonic them, I guess, with the Chaos Emeralds and things like that. So could be cool. For me, Sonic is always kind of like a uh, buy it at a deep discount, play it when I've got nothing else to play kind of series.
Yeah.
I did grow up with Sonic and I loved the first, Genesis games, but I fell off pretty quick after, Sonic 2 or Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So I don't dip back into the series too often, but when I do, I usually have a good time. So I'm excited for it. But for me, it was, it's not a standout from this direct.
All right. Okay, so let's talk about some of the remastered collection. So we got the Batman Arkham trilogy,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
we also have I guess it's not really a collection, but the Pikmin 1 and 2, the HD remasters,
Yeah.
and the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection. Now, I'm most excited about the Metal Gear Solid collection. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if
Same.
they're going to fit all of that on a single cartridge, or if it's going to be like, you got a game or two and then you have to download the rest. I'm interested about that from a physical perspective, but I'm really excited there. We've got even some of the old
Mm-hmm.
NES games and I can't remember what the other games came out on, the early games of NES and something else. But anyway, they're there. I'm really excited to go back into Metal Gear Solid 3 before that
Yeah.
remaster comes out. And the Batman Arkham trilogy, I thought those, at least the first game, was Really, really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, people love the Batman Arkham games. I know those first three are really beloved. Great games. People often compare them to, Metroid type games, in the way that they do their exploration and pacing, role pacing and stuff like that, which is really cool because, people are itching for more games like that, I think, right now with, Silksong being delayed and people still wanting more Metroid and not getting it. So I think it's coming out at a really good time for the Switch. I think people are going to dig into that and really love it. I'm worried about performance. I don't know how well it's going to run on the
Yeah.
Switch. They're older games, but they're meaty games with a lot of stuff going on. So I'm curious if we're going to get good ports or if we're going to get mediocre slapdash ports. I mean, unfortunately, right, the team behind the Arkham games have not had a ton of success in recent years. They've been panned for a few things they've been involved in, performance being a big issue. So I'm nervous about the port. But if it comes out and turns out to be a good port, I think people are gonna just eat that up. I think it'll sell, gangbusters if it's a good port. The Pikmin 1 and 2, I've never played a Pikmin game, but I have always wanted to play a Pikmin game. And Pikmin 4, the little bit we got, I was worried this was going to be like a Pikmin 4 heavy
Yeah.
direct. It wasn't, right? We got maybe 5 minutes of gameplay. It took up maybe the largest single chunk other than Wonder, but it looks really, really good. And I think it's got its hooks in me, right? I'll probably play Pikmin 4. So having 1 and 2 on the Switch coming out as of record today, I may grab those again if there's a little bit of a lull. If I find some extra time, I might pick those up before Pikmin 4 comes out, but that seems unlikely. Though I
Yeah.
will likely go back. Will likely get Pikmin 4 when that rolls around. And then the last one, the Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, I mean, I love Metal Gear Solid games. I think it's really weird timing to do a collection of the first three games at the same time they announced a remake for three. Because unlike you, I have zero interest in playing three before the remake comes out.
Oh,
Right? Like
really?
that's to me, that's like, no, I'm just gonna wait and see how the remake is. If the remake is well received, even though Kojima's not involved, if it's well received and faithful to the original, yeah, for me, I'm just going to wait. That said, if the sequel comes out, or if the remake comes out and it's garbage, or isn't as good as the original, yeah, I'll pick up that trilogy and probably play through those games because I do like the first Metal Gear Solid a lot. I like the third one, and surprisingly, I've never played the second Metal Gear Solid,
Huh.
which I know is a somewhat contentious game in the series, but I know people tend to have evaluated it, at least in recent years, as a really good, solid entry in the series. So I am interested in picking it up. Again, it'll be another one of those ones that I'll get down the road, when I get an itch to play through some Metal Gear Solid games.
That's a day one for me. I love Metal Gear Solid 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably one of my top 3 favorite games of all
Oh, I
time.
love it. I love it. Yeah, I don't want to undersell my love of Metal Gear Solid 3. It's just, with the announcement of the full remake coming,
Yeah.
I'm hesitant to double dip, right? I'm worried that if I play the 3 on the collection, I will have burned out by the time the sequel comes out or the remake comes out. I won't want to play it. So
Yeah, totally makes sense. All right, let's jump into Star Ocean: The Second Story R.
did you ever play this?
No, never played it. I played the other remake they did. It came out on the PSP, I think.
First Evolution or something like that.
Was it First Departure?
First Departure, yeah. First Departure, yeah.
Yeah, really like that one. This one, taking some liberties, looks like, at least with the art style. So we've got like some pixel art graphics, and then some really nicely detailed backgrounds.
It's kind of weird. Yeah,
I loved it. It was weird.
I mean, it's 2.5D, right? So it's got that like the Octopath Traveler esque sprites and backgrounds and lighting and stuff like that. But then it does some kind of weird like 3D perspective shift, kind of like from almost like an isometric angle at times, and like it's doing some weird stuff that. The lighting doesn't look as good to me as like some of the other 2.5D remakes that they've done, but I think it's cool that they're playing, right? Square Enix and Tri-Ace are playing with the 2.5D to see, what else can we do with this style that people might like. that might be more true to these original games that had, these open world, world maps that you could run around on that were like huge sprawling places and these 3D maps and stuff like that. So I think that's really cool. I love, 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 love the original Star Ocean, the second story. It was, I believe, the first JRPG, first RPG I rented and completed fully from Blockbuster for my PlayStation 1. I bought it. I rented it from Blockbuster, played through it in a weekend right before my rental was over. Just like I was
the good old days.
Yeah, I was maybe 10 or 11 at the time.
Yeah.
I haven't fact checked that, so don't try to triangulate my age based off of that comment. But I played through it in a week because I had nothing else to do. I didn't have any responsibility, so I played maybe 10 hours a day until I beat it and returned it and ended up playing it again a couple times throughout the years.
Just putting in the work.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good, solid RPG. And the remake looks phenomenal, I think. I mean, the new artwork for the characters is really cool. If you've never played this game, it's kind of cool. It's got like a dual protagonist system where you can choose different, either a male or female lead, and the stories are slightly different. The characters you can recruit branch based off of your pick at the beginning of the game. It's good. It's got good music. It's got good set pieces. It's got an interesting, sci-fi story. If you've never played it, I'm excited for it. I just wish it wasn't coming out when it was. Not a great. What's the exact date on that? I believe, November 3rd. So that's slightly after Wonder, right before the next Like a Dragon. Then we got Persona 5 Tactica and Super Mario RPG coming out 2 weeks later. So not the best placement for me this year, but I am excited about it. Are you gonna pick it up? You gonna check it out?
Oh yeah. I liked First Departure enough, and I picked up the latest Star Ocean game on the PS5.
Oh yeah.
I didn't finish it, but I liked what I played.
I've heard mixed things. I've heard mixed stuff on it, but I've heard from people that actually like the series that it's worth the dip, even though it's kind of like a pretty bare bones low budget game. It's still supposed to be pretty good from what people have told me. So
yeah,
I might check that out at some point.
I picked it up on a pretty deep discount, and I was happy with the price that I paid. All right, really quick, before we get to our superlatives, let's talk about Persona 5 Tactica.
Absolutely day one for me.
Day one for you? Okay.
Love Persona 5, love Royal, played Strikers, enjoyed what I played of it. We'll probably get back and finish it at some point. And I love tactics RPGs. You know this about me, right? Big fan of tactics RPGs. Day one purchase, we'll be playing this on launch for sure, even though it comes out the exact same day as Super Mario RPG. So I'll have to do a little bit of juggling there, but yeah.
Art style is the only thing that's throwing me a little bit. It looks a little cutesy.
I mean, yeah, it reminds me, I don't know if you've played them, you probably haven't, but Persona has a sub-series called Persona Q, which are 3DS dungeon crawlers a la Etrian Odyssey, which just recently got remasters. It's actually, I believe, by the same group that does the Etrian Odyssey games. So they're those classic dungeon RPGs, but they use a similar art style. And it kind of grew on me after playing those because they're such good games that I'm excited about it. So I'm fine with the cutesy I think it fits a tactics game really well. I think chibi sprites like that fit tactics games really well because it makes it a lot easier to see what's going on the maps.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to some quick fire questions here. All right, what was your biggest surprise of the Direct?
I mean, obviously, the biggest surprise it has to be the RPG, Super Mario RPG remake. Even though we had rumors of it, there was also rumors that it was going to be Chrono Trigger. And so for me, that's the big one. I didn't think they would ever come back to this game. It seemed like a game that they had largely forgotten about and were trying to, because of their past contentious relationship with Square, I didn't think it would ever come back. But it looks like they've really, patched up that relationship. So glad to see it back and excited for it. What about you?
Yeah, no, same here. I don't think I could pick out anything else as a bigger surprise than that.
Wonder's a close second, I think. I think Wonder's a close second, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. What was your most anticipated game?
That's probably it. I mean, now it's got to be Wonder, I think. I think Wonder is maybe my most anticipated game because, again, I love 2D Marios. The new Super Mario Bros. U is my favorite Mario game of all time, maybe. And since this looks like it's carrying on that tradition, very excited to see where it goes. You?
Yeah, same thing. This is a pretty boring list.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the reasons you talked about, and just growing up with 2D Super Mario games,
Hmm.
like that feels like a really comfortable home place,
Yeah.
home plate for me. Um, so yeah, really looking forward to Wonder. All right, I'm going to spring this question on you. We didn't talk about it earlier. It's not in the notes. Biggest disappointment, not necessarily something that was in the direct, but maybe something that wasn't in the
No
direct.
Donkey Kong. They were
Oof.
doing their whole, oh, but hey, Princess Peach is getting her game, and Luigi's getting a game. And I was hoping next it would be, oh, and by the way, and we were going to get something about a Donkey Kong. We didn't. The fact that Donkey Kong has had no news in years and years and years is super disappointing to me.
Yeah, totally agreed. Metroid Prime 4, like it's
Yeah.
been so many years, not even, a nod to development's going well or it's not. I don't know what to make of this game
So,
anymore.
Metroid Prime 4, calling it now, it is going to be a Switch 2 launch title. The reason we've heard nothing about it is they're holding it off until they announce their next console. Next console will come out along with a release date, or at least a trailer for Metroid Prime 4. That's they've pushed it off of the Switch. It's no longer being developed for the Switch. That is my
Yeah,
prediction at this
I
point.
think you're right.
So,
I think you're absolutely right about that. I think we probably get the second one and the third one on the Switch before that happens, and
yep,
then
100%.
4 comes down the road. All right, let's end today with direct rating. So, I mean, what do you think?
I mean, if we're going like a 10 scale, I'm giving it like a solid 8.5. Again, something for everyone, good stuff, nothing super, out of left field, but the reveals that we did get, I was really excited for. It sold me on, Pikmin 4, which I was still kind of lukewarm on. And we didn't talk about it, but Dragon Quest Monsters, I was really excited for that announcement. So there was some good stuff in there that I didn't expect that I'm looking forward to, and some remakes and remasters and new games all that I want. So that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah, I'll give it a 9. I'm excited to have all the Pikmins on the Switch. I've played the first one, but kind
Yeah.
of got lost in the series after that. So interested to go back and see what those HD remasters look like. I don't even think we got a tease of what they looked like today.
No,
So
I've looked at
did
some
they show them?
screenshots on the eShop. I mean, they just look like upscaled versions of the
Okay.
first two games. Nothing major.
So with that, with the little bit of the collections that we got,
Mm-hmm.
Arkham, Metal Gear, the remake of Dark Moon, like Nintendo in this direct and in previous directs, but especially this one, just making so much money on nostalgia. Like here are games that you used to love, that you grew up with, for these older people, and we're going to shine them up and give them right back to you and introduce them to a brand new generation that had never even heard of them.
Yeah.
For me, that makes this direct really special.
Yeah, this feels like the perfect cool down direct. To move on to kind of like a final wrap up. What does this direct say about the future of Nintendo and where we're headed? This feels like the cool down, right? This is the Nintendo Switch cool down direct. This is where we get, here's a bunch of stuff you really want. Here's a bunch of really cozy, easy to get into games. We don't have anything huge and flashy. We're not talking Zelda DLC yet. We're not giving you the next Metroid. We're not giving you Donkey Kong. That'll all come later. 3D Mario, yes, he's in development, but just wait. Because my prediction is the next direct will be the Switch 2, right? If that's September, great. If it's next year, awesome. But that's my assumption is we hear about that, and that's where they're headed next, right? We're winding down, right? The Wonder's going to be like the last hurrah for first party games for the Switch, and then we'll be making our way into whatever's next after that.